When people become famous, they often start living lives of excess that they aren't prepared to deal with. Many stars turn to alcoholism after becoming famous, whether as a result of performance anxiety or some other issue that may or may not have anything to do with success itself. There are numerous stars who have passed away from alcoholism over the years, and in this video, we'll take a look at the most tragic tales. Join FactsVerse as we take a look at celebrities who died from alcohol. Barbara Payton. Not everyone will recognize the name Barbara Payton, as she wasn't as big of a star as some other celebrities. But that wasn't for lack of trying. At the height of her fame, she was a notable film star who could be seen socializing with superstars like Gary Cooper, Gregory Peck, and Frank Sinatra. Sadly, it turned out the actress wasn't fit to handle her success. Barbara was born in 1927 and exhibited a streak of rebellion from a young age. At the age of 15, she ran away from her comfortable life to marry her boyfriend, who was a man named William Hodge. Not long after they eloped, Barbara was tracked down by her parents and brought back home. Several years later, she married for a second time, this time to a man named John Payton. Payton was an Air Force captain, and the two moved to California after getting married. They had a child, after which point Barbara took the child and ran off to Hollywood in the hopes of becoming a movie star. Barbara was a beautiful young woman, and it wasn't hard for her to get attention in Hollywood, but she was perhaps a little bit too willing to use her sexuality to get ahead. She signed with Universal and started finding some success, around which time she became involved with comedian Bob Hope. Bob set Barbara up in her own apartment, and the two partook in an affair. Bob was married at the time, and when Universal found out about the affair, they decided to fire Barbara out of fear the affair was going to hurt Bob's image. After following Bob Hope around for a period of time and begging him for money to no avail, other work thankfully came Barbara's way. She appeared in a 1949 film called Trapped, which was fairly successful. Her appearance in the film secured her a role alongside James Cagney in 1950's Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye. The following year, she appeared alongside Gary Cooper in Dallas and Gregory Peck in the film Only the Valiant. She could also be seen in nightclubs hanging out with superstars like Lana Turner and Frank Sinatra. Arguably, the burgeoning celebrity cared more about partying than she did about performing. She enjoyed sleeping around in Hollywood, whether to further her career or just to pass the time. She continued the habit of sleeping around after becoming involved with Franchot Tone, an actor. While dating Franchot, Barbara started an affair with a boxer. When Franchot found out, he started a fist fight with him that ended up putting Franchot in a coma. Barbara had developed a habit of heavy drinking during her time in Hollywood, and things had gotten pretty bad by the 50s. She found herself out of work in the entertainment industry and moved to Chicago to start up a prostitution ring with a fellow ex-actress. When the police busted up their ring, Barbara narrowly escaped incarceration. Her business partner was put in prison, forcing Barbara to continue working as a prostitute alone. Alone on the streets, Barbara lived for several years as a drug-addicted prostitute before dying at age 39. At the height of her desperation, she had returned to the home of her parents. She collapsed on the floor of their bathroom in 1967 and was said to have died in the arms of her mother. At that time, she looked nothing like her former self. She weighed 200 pounds, and her face had been bloated from years of alcohol abuse. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to FactsVerse for more. And stick around to find out more about celebrities who died from alcohol. Veronica Lake. Veronica Lake got to experience legitimate Hollywood stardom over the course of her career, but that doesn't make her eventual demise from alcoholism and schizophrenia much less tragic. During her final years, she was holed up in her home, believing the government was spying on her. This came after the actress's iconic appearances in films such as This Gun for Hire and The Hour Before Dawn. She had been one of the biggest names in Hollywood during the 40s, but her career suffered alongside her personal life in the 50s. During that decade, she began suffering from schizophrenia. It was made worse by the fact that the actress was a very heavy drinker. She died in 1973 at age 50. She had only appeared in a small handful of films since 1952 and had lived her final years in a state of alcohol addiction and loneliness. After her death, Veronica's family financially struggled to bury her. Her estranged son reportedly had to take out a loan to fly to where his mother's body was located, and then she was cremated. Some claim her ashes were sold to fans. Billie Holiday. Hollywood actors and actresses certainly have a propensity for becoming addicted to alcohol, but their counterparts in the music industry often outdo them. One musician who could have likely outdrank every one of her contemporaries in Hollywood was jazz singer Billie Holiday. Billie was addicted to alcohol and sex, as well as a variety of illicit substances. She used her success to fund her partying, but tried her best not to let her various habits affect her artistic output. Still, she couldn't stop the negative health effects that her many years of partying were taking on her body. Billie had started out on the music scene as a nightclub singer before finding some success and dropping out of high school. She started drinking at an early age and turned to opium after being introduced by a partner. Billie ended up passing away in the late 50s after being admitted to the hospital with both liver and heart disease. Though the actress had been able to hold it together for a good deal of her career, the final years of her life saw her on a downward spiral. The singer had reportedly quit drinking soon before her death on advice of her doctor, but it was too late. Richard Burton. Besides acting, Richard was perhaps equally known for being romantically involved with actress Elizabeth Taylor. The two starred together in the box office failure Cleopatra, and their relationship didn't prove healthy for either of them. Richard hated being a Hollywood actor, preferring to be on stage. Arguably, he also hated Elizabeth Taylor. Both his Hollywood career and marriage to Elizabeth inspired the actor to drink, and the habit eventually killed him. For a time, Richard was able to continue performing successfully while drinking as many as 4 bottles of hard alcohol a day. This was in the 70s when he starred in films such as the Hollywood adaptation of the controversial play Equus. Richard Burton died at age 58 after suffering from cirrhosis of the liver for a number of years. He famously underwent a surgical operation to alleviate some back pain, only for the doctors to find there was crystallized alcohol formed on his spine. Despite his poor health, he continued to drink until his 1984 death, which was officially caused by a brain hemorrhage. Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle may be recognized as one of the greatest baseball players of all time, but he was tormented by alcoholism. The athlete turned to the bottle soon after the start of his career due to the death of his father. He continued drinking during the duration of his fame before dying in 1995 from declining health related to his years of consumption. Although Mickey was apparently plagued by demons during his career, those who knew him said he was always kind and considerate to even his lowliest teammate. Hank Williams. Back in the day, the country music scene was notorious for being filled with depressed and alcoholic singer-songwriters. Perhaps the most iconic depressed and alcoholic singer-songwriter was Hank Williams, who became the archetype that many followed. While his alcoholism made him appear authentic to both his contemporaries and his audience, it ended up killing him. He died at age 29 in 1953. He was being driven to a New Year's Day performance in Ohio and had mixed alcohol with various illicit substances. Now it's time to hear from you. Did you know that many celebrities have died from alcoholism? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.